Okay, hey, welcome to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we're doing a little bit of a sub-segment here known as Wristwatch Rambles and Rants. So this is, of course, a sponsored segment, and it's sponsored and brought to you by Wrist Candy Watch Club. So really quickly about them, they are supporting the channel. So if you want to, whoa, slippery. So if you want to support the channel as well, definitely check them out. So instead of me just moving on to the next review, they actually, of course, are helping me stop, take time, and do some other segments. So this being one of them. And the premise of this segment was actually inspired by Carapaz leather, these watch rolls. These are insanely good. So the idea of a 3-watch collection. Now they have these in different configurations, different sizes. You saw me review this guy right here, but these things are just so beautiful and so perfect and just deserving of of praise that I figured, you know, you could probably even build a segment around this. I love this idea of, I've always loved the idea. Of course, I'm a huge collector, but the 3-watch collection is something that I think is very cool. And now, for me, it's not about being limited to just 3 watches. It's about kind of that 3-watch pairing, you know? So maybe I'm traveling and I just need to take one watch roll with me, or, you know, for whatever reason. And I love these watch rolls. And with that, I packed them with basically two different 3-watch collections from Seiko. So the premise is, how do you get the perfect 3 watches from Seiko and just get the best and modern, right? And stuff that's actually you can still get. And I think I have two pretty good you know, candidates here, and I'm gonna ask you guys to let me know which one would be your pick out of the bunch, in terms of, hey, well, you know, am I gonna go column A, column B, you know, which group of watches speaks, you know, to you, and then maybe what would you swap out? For me, I really wanted to focus on very iconic pieces that drew from Seiko's own history and lineage. And you know, there are some watches that are made by Seiko that might share in certain trends and whatnot. I really wanted to make sure the ones that I chose for this video were really you know, more on the Seiko intrinsic DNA, and that side of the house, as well as just, you know, just following within that iconography of, hey, that is a Seiko watch, and that is very clearly a Seiko watch, and it's not trying to be anything else other than that, which I think is very cool, that they have that level of heritage and their own aesthetic. But there are some choices, and I kind of went do like a, hey, very expensive watch, kind of safety net. Hey, you're gonna have something that you need to be able to wear anywhere and feel infinitely confident in. And then, of course, a Seiko diver. And then on the other side, being something of a bit of an everyday watch, whether it be on the everyday dressy side or the everyday sporty side. And then that would be based off of the other choices within the collection. So with that said, let's go ahead and dig into these right here. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys think. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with this collection first, because it just happens to be in a watch roll that I haven't shown you guys yet. So I originally reviewed the gray Saffiano watch roll. In this case, we do have this gorgeous supple leather version that is not with that doesn't have that kind of texturing of the gray. But a little bit about these watch rolls. They are actually designed in Switzerland and produced within Europe. Also, they go for around 338 bucks, depending on the exchange rate. But they are available with free shipping, and they're awesome. They have this cool rail system and whatnot, and I like them a lot. So they were a big part of kind of what inspired me to do this, because I just having to figure out what watches go within each roll kind of created this game for me. So let's go ahead and start it off. Here we go. In this case over here, man, lovely 3-watch collection. Again, so the idea is 3 watches that can do everything that I need, get me from A to B. And in this case, when it comes to, hey, I needed something to be kind of the top dog within the collection, something that, hey, if I was going to go to a watch function, a watch gathering, of other aficionado, what would be my piece that I just felt infinitely comfortable with, that I felt like there was enough of a story and enough of a spec to be able to really compete with some of the best. And in that case, I have this bad boy right here. It's, you guys might remember this baby Grand Snowflake, or Frost Dial. Many people have kind of their own little nickname for it, but really to Seiko it's known as the SARA 015, which is the JDM nomenclature, or known as the SJE 073, which is the international market number for it. And I love this thing, man. Look at that dial. It's very similar to your standard SARX 0. Was it the SARX 055? Except the big difference is that, well, there's a couple big differences. Instead of it being a very standard titanium watch, this is a very special stainless steel watch that is much thinner profile. Check that out. And the reason why it can be much thinner profile is because it has the 6L35 movement in it that actually has a higher hertz sweep on it. So instead of the standard 3 hertz, 6 ticks per second, you're going to be getting the 4 hertz, 8 ticks per second. So you're going to get a smoother sweep on there. You're also going to get that beautiful blued hand, not coated blue, but actually heat treated. And it's glorious. This thing is magnificent. I love this watch so much. And yeah, it's, again, it keys in to Seiko DNA. Seiko's known for their epic dials and the textures that they're able to put in there for the money. And this is absolutely one of the best from that standpoint. It is a little bit more expensive. These were going for around $2,200 retail. You can get them plus minus from there. And then, well, they get a little bit more rare. People are paying more. But in terms of kind of a modern Seiko collection, this would be kind of that entrant for that space where you're trying to say, hey, look, man, I need something that feels good. And in this case, Seiko does a really good job of that kind of everyday, dressy steel sports watch. And that dial is explosive. I love this thing, guys. Check it out. Look at how flat and look at how thin that is. Yes, guys, that is thinner than Grand Seiko level. So that's one thing that you're going to get above a Grand Seiko, is you're going to get an amazingly thin silhouette. And it's automatic. They didn't have to cut the rotor out to get it thinner, and it still has all the beautiful angles. It has the Dia Shield coating. It has even a technically advanced front-loaded construction in terms of the movement. So this thing is a looker, and man, I dig it a lot. So within that space, that is what I chose for that. Let me put this back on the pillow here. Go on to the next choice. Oh, that's another cool feature, is you can kind of put it on display mode. So if you want to have this on your desk or something, on a nightstand while you're traveling, you do get that. Maybe you set one to a different time zone. If you're, a pilot or something like that, that could also be very cool. But what would a Seiko 3-watch collection be without a Seiko diver? I mean, the dive watch space for Seiko is actually, they're just peas in a pod. It's iconic in terms of it just having a mechanical dive watch. Is a Seiko, and this particular diver goes to one of Seiko's first professional dive watches in that kind of Marine Master line, and this is one of the best balanced renditions of it, because now it is something you can be worn every day and doesn't just feel at home, you know, over a dive suit. It actually feels quite at home on a regular wrist. So here we have the SBDC 127 JDM or the SPB 187 International. These are about $1,200, and it's outstanding. It's 42 millimeter, and it's only 12.5 millimeters thick, guys. And not only is it thinner, it still has all of Seiko's tricks to make it appear even thinner and wear thinner with that upper bevel and then the undercut. My goodness, this thing wears like an absolute dream. Big fan here. Let's go ahead and get this on the wrist really quickly. So in terms of an iconic Seiko diver, here you go. Bam. And you're also getting some color. I did consider that. You got a white dial, you got a blue dial, black dial. So you have a little bit of something for every occasion there. And of course, when you want to get really sporty, this absolutely works. And it is a handsome setup that honestly is a bit of a dressy diver as well. So when you are going to be on that kind of dressier side, it does offer you a little bit of flexibility from that standpoint. If you're going to be, you know, some people aren't big on, you know, divers with formal wear, but thanks to good old 007, somebody with a sports coat on, or, you know, even a full-on tuxedo with a dive watch is something that ends up being pretty acceptable by today's standards. And this is absolutely a watch that you could do that, because although it's a diver and it's thick, it's actually pretty thin and it for a diver, and it has all these beautiful facets and contours that do make it wear quite thinner. Now, it's amazing. It's a great watch, and it's a great kind of everyday piece as well. So again, for versatility points, as well as keying into, you know, just that iconic Seiko design aesthetic, you're absolutely covered as well. Last piece out of these three, what would it be without your good old, the latest, well, not, I shouldn't say the latest, this is totally re-emerging. It's your Seiko Prospex Alpinist. There's more models, and again, there's different color variations and whatnot that are available. I mean, except for kind of your flex piece here, which is and typically going to be something that's more limited. But in terms of kind of this now everyday, sporty, somewhat dressy watch, but definitely skewing more on the sporty side. Oh man, the Alpinist, this thing makes a freaking case as just being an amazing one watch option, but absolutely fits in to a 3-watch collection, guys. You got 200 meters of water resistance here. You know, this SBDC 087 JDM or SPB 117 International. And it's great. I mean, MSRP is only $750. And you'll actually see them marked up in certain places, and you'll see them marked down in certain places. It's a high demand piece that's really sparking a lot of excitement within just kind of that space right now. People have been cooped up for a while. They're wanting to get back outdoors, and these types of outdoor adventure watches are speaking to people. And this one, I mean, it just hits all the right notes. It's gorgeous, and it's very, very versatile. And there's, of course, tons of other options within that Alpinist line now. But for me, within kind of a 3-watch collection and also balancing off of these other choices, I think that this beautiful black dial works wonders. And it's not oversized, not quite undersized. It just hits, again, the right marks, wears on the wrist extremely well, and it's infinitely capable. Now, it doesn't have the Dia Shield coating as these two other choices, but it also doesn't have the price that comes with these two other choices, so it ends up being pretty nice. And then it also, of course, has the same movement as that dive watch there with the 6R35 movement, 70-hour power reserve, which is great, although it does have the more traditional 3 hertz sweep versus something higher beat like an 8 or above. So Again, this is going to be really good in terms of service intervals and whatnot, because it's just, there's less effort going into that. But yeah, gorgeous. So yeah, that's kind of option, that's one option, guys. Let me know what you guys think about these. Make a comment. What would you change? What would you swap? But basically that's one option. Let's go ahead and get another option here. All right, now a little, man, I love this thing, and you guys might recognize this case from when I reviewed it. Love this look. I love the texture to it. It does feel, it's not quite as supple and soft, but it just has kind of a fancier, upgraded feeling, although the pricing is no different. But in terms of the watches inside, yes. Speaking of Seiko icons, now if Seiko is known for divers, because of the horological significance of their contributions to the dive watch community, it can also be said in terms of the chronograph community, guys. And this watch right here, my goodness, it is also a limited edition. Again, this is on the flex piece, diver piece every day, and this one skews towards dress, and here the flex piece skews towards sport, although of course it is quite handsome and quite dressy. It's a sports watch, guys, and a lot of it has to do with the thickness associated with a mechanical chronograph, an automatic mechanical chronograph, column wheel, vertical clutch, fully in-house. My goodness, this thing just has it all. Higher hertz, beat count. It's amazing. It's not cheap. This is your SB EC005 JDM or SRQ029 International 50th anniversary chronograph, limited to 1,000 pieces, and this is the Panda dial, and it was released back in December of 2019, and it's a modern reinterpretation of the original 1969 Seiko Panda chronograph, reference 6138-8020. Now these go for about $3,600. You're seeing them raise in price because they're starting to become more and more scarce. So if you can find one, pick it up. Just believe me, pick it up. You're gonna dig it. Obviously, if you have the wrist for it, it's 41 millimeters, but it does have a lot of those Seiko tricks that make this thing smaller a lot. And one thing is the dial is squished. It's smaller. The sub dials are closer to the center, and then it has that outer ring there, the tachymeter scale, and then you also do have, of course, all of Seiko's patented tricks in terms of the beveling, the cuts, the undercuts, the mixture of brushed and finished surfaces, DiaShield coated, and of course hand polished Zaratsu finish. This thing is amazing, and yeah, it's 16 millimeters thick, but for a chronograph, that's not that big a deal. And look at how much of that 16 millimeters is this gorgeous box domed sapphire with inner AR coating. And then you have, of course, an automatic movement, which isn't all that much to look at, but it has the specs, it has the chops, 45-hour power reserve, 4 hertz sweep. It has a column wheel and vertical clutch system in there. Come on, guys, fully in-house. And yeah, it's Seiko, so that means fully in-house down to growing their own jewels and making their own lubricants, which is everything. So, boom. Let that run a little bit there. Mechanical chronograph. The shape on this thing is really what ties into the original piece. That that iconic Seiko case shape is beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. The pushers, everything, for me anyway, just flows really wonderfully, very, very handsomely. And it works, right? It's a piece, it's a functional tool, and it's a bit of a flex piece, of course, because it is a mechanical chronograph, and it does also, again, what does Seiko do well? It does dials well. Look at this dial, guys. Look at that vertical brush there. Gorgeous. Look at those sub dials. My goodness. So it does have all of those qualities as well. And yeah, if I'm having to go, out to a watch get together or just out on, some place where I think there might be some folks flexing some really legit timepieces, I will feel absolutely comfortable wearing this timepiece, and I'll have no reservations of, oh man, I should have worn a nicer watch. So if I'm going to wear a Seiko, again, this and the SJE are two good options. Another option that I guess I could have pulled in on the last one, of course, is going to be your King Seiko. Love this piece. Just it's more, I'd say, iconic because this is more of a reissue versus a reimagining. But oh man, look at that bad boy. Woo. Look at who's gonna scoff at that? Nobody. That's who. So there are options, but like these aren't the only, heavy hitters within that kind of $2,000 to $3,000, $4,000 Seiko range, in terms of, hey, what could you wear and just feel damn good about, no matter whatever anybody else is wearing in the room. You can hold your own weight because Seiko is that brand, guys. They have the heritage, they have the lineage, the horological significance within many disciplines, and this is one of them that I think is a little underappreciated, just because not a lot of people really get into mechanical chronographs. And when they do, they're typically kind of swatch based, the Valjoux, ETA style movements, and those can be a variance in range. Those can be in $100,000, under $1,000 for it to sew, or it can be you can get watches with those movements that cost $6,000, $7,000, $8,000. Then you have something like this, which is just fully in-house. So moving on to, of course, Seiko divers. Speaking of iconic Seiko divers, Seiko's first dive watch. Now, the Marine Master was Seiko's first professional dive watch, but its first dive watch in general, and one of the first dive watches really that was mass produced out there, was the 62 MAS. And this watch right here is a great, again, it ties back to that iconography, but it is a modern reinterpretation. So you got your SBDC 101 JDM or SPB 143 International. And after the success of that SLA 017 reissue of the 62 MAS, which was like $3,400, and now they go for, gosh, the market on those has gone way up. So for people that say there's no money in investing in Seiko, they clearly didn't buy any of those watches, because those are going for like $8-9 grand now, which is pretty nuts. But this is one you can buy for $1,200 and wear it right now. And I dig that. I really do. It's something that I absolutely can see and appreciate the modern updates, the chamfering there, the beveling, the undercuts. Again, you're also getting Dia Shield with this collection. They're all Dia Shield coated, which is great. Did I even put this one on my wrist? Let's do that. Let's do that really quickly. Sorry about that. I think I might have just been bobbling it around, but just so you guys get an idea, in case I didn't put it on my wrist. Yeah. There we go. Boom. It's gorgeous, right? And then honestly, so many people sing the praises of this watch here. Is it really that much bigger? It's not. So for those of you that are intimidated by the size of this piece, it's again, everybody was singing the praises of how this is like the perfect size everyday sports watch. Boom, you have something like this. Yeah, it's it's on the taller side, but it should be. It's think about what is packing in there. So and then of course a lot of that is that gorgeous sapphire. So I mean, come on. So anyway, sorry about that. I might even put it on twice, but you know what, when it comes to this watch, when I see it, I do want to just keep putting it on my wrist. And that is a problem I have with a lot of the Seikos chosen here today. And no different for this beautiful diver here, around $1,200 also. 40.5 millimeters in diameter, 40 millimeters right at this gorgeous bezel. Oh yeah. Yes. That is the ticket. Love that. Wears amazing, guys. Talk about a wearable Seiko hitting that sweet spot. Maybe you love the SKX. Maybe you love the Sumo. Maybe you love the Monster, the Tuna, all of these iconic Seiko watches. They just don't wear the right way. Here you go, guys. Bam. And again, this is in terms of that upper tier, most for your money, best you can get. Are there more affordable Seikos out there? Absolutely, especially within the dive watch category. But in terms of, hey, you're going to only have limit yourself to 3. There's no way you're walking out with this watch and thinking, I should have wore the Mini Turtle. I love my Mini Turtle, but this is the one. This is the one that when some other Seiko nerd is out there or just general watch geek, this is the one you want to get caught wearing because this one is a whole lot of fun. And it has so many fine details for you to enjoy as well as for you to talk about and engage in with others. And that's kind of what this whole 3-watch collection rant is about, is that when you can do something like this, it's a challenge. Like, hey, how could I put together kind of a collection that encompasses the 3 very specific needs, and it's crazy that Seiko can give you that. Now, before we had the Alpinist, which skewed more on the sporty side. Here now we have the Seiko Sharp Edge, a Sarks 077 JDM or SPB 167J1 International in the Atetsu blue color. Man, come on. What's Seiko known for? Sharp angles, beautiful polished brush transitions, undercuts, all these beautiful angles, and some dial action. My goodness, guys, some beautiful dial action. And here, although this also skews towards the dressy side, one of the great things is that it actually is, it's all steel too. So I mean, this is something that can be worn every day. This fits within that everyday category, and you don't necessarily need to be in either theme. You don't necessarily need to be in a sporty kind of attire. You can be in a casual attire in general, and this will go with it. And it also has loom, so it's also quite usable. You do get the black date disc with white font, which I quite enjoy, and I think it looks fantastic, and I'm really glad they went with that. You do get also that date with a beautiful framing on there, and it's just, and then you're also getting Presage. And then, your 2 other options are within the Prospex. The other one was, I think it was the other way around. Actually, I think it was 2 Prospex and then a Presage. Here you're going to be getting 2, 2 Prospex and a Presage. Just the other way around. So, hey, what is Seiko known for? All this goodness. And in terms of wearability, this is a choice that absolutely works in so many situations. Now, in terms of being a dedicated dress watch, no. This is a more of an expansive dial, and it's going to render it quite sporty while you're wearing it. This is not quite to that level of that diminutive nature that you would see from something like a SARB 033 that made it skew a little bit dressier because of those proportions. Here you're going to get something that feels a little bit more modern. It still feels shrunk down, don't get me wrong. I mean, take a look, guys. It's far from oversized, but I'd say it is more of a full-sized in terms of that kind of 39 millimeter wear. It's not oversized by any means, but this is not dainty or petite. It is absolutely just a samurai sword of a watch with angles, bevels, and just look at the levels. So now typically when you look at something like your traditional sorry, I hit my flashlight there. A traditional sunburst dial, you're going to get highlights and lowlights. Cutting up that pie. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Yeah. Okay. Well, here now on the Sharp Edge, you're getting the sunray highlights and lowlights, but then you're also getting every medium, highlight, low light, dark tone all of that playing within both of those spectrums, and it just adds so much dimension, and it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. And you know, how does that compare to something like this? You know, you can see it's quite comparable. You're getting, I mean, I'm not saying you're getting the same watch for the money, but you're getting something that speaks the same language. These are not too far off in terms of, you know, the story that they're telling. Of course, this is more direct reissue versus here, a new kind of reimagining of all those iconic pieces. But yeah, I dig that. So that is kind of, that rounds up this 3-watch collection from that standpoint. These go for about $1,000, but I got it for like $890 from Noman Watches. So again, full reviews came for all of these watches. So, but yeah, what do you guys think from, you know, let's get them face to face. Okay, guys, what do you think about these two 3-watch collections? I really, again, my formula here was something iconic, something that spoke to the design aesthetic and that lineage and DNA of Seiko itself. Also pieces that were, yeah, I mean, you're getting nothing but sapphire here. So you're getting sapphire, you're getting AR coating, you're getting hard coating, you know, for the most case, you're getting a whole lot of special higher level polishing and some of that Zaratsu finish that you're going to see on a couple of these pieces. So there's a lot to love here, and that's why one of the things I really love about Seiko and this idea of, hey, how can I put together something in a 3-watch aesthetic? If I'm gonna go, you know, maybe I'm just gonna go for a little trip or a little drive, whatever, you know, I'm not just gonna bring one watch. Come on, guys. In this case, I could bring, and then, you know, I did want to throw the King Seiko in there because that would be interchangeable with either of the kind of baller tier of Seiko watch. And this is just Seiko, guys. This is not getting into Grand Seiko. Obviously, there's so much there to unpack as well. But for those of us that are, you know, not typically searching for something $6,000 and above, and when it comes to mechanical timepieces, I think there's still plenty of value to derive out of modern Seiko watches, especially considering a lot of the kind of popular sentiment as of late from a lot of reviewers is, you know, hey, Seiko's kind of losing their way, and, you know, their stuff isn't as value for money as it used to be. And I tend to disagree. Their watches have gotten a lot better. I don't think there's anybody that is going to argue that an SKX is anywhere near as nice as one of these watches that are here. I mean, people would spend and me included, upwards of $600-$800 to modify things to be at a similar spec here. And at the end of the day, those would still be kind of bastardized watches and mods, which I still love. Because that's just a niche of Seiko, is the Seiko mod community. But there's so many new Seikos now that just don't need mods, and I love that. And you know, people have been asking for that, so I don't want to be one of those people that asks for something and then isn't appreciating it when it's here. So you know, we do have things that are iconic: 4 o'clock crown, dive watches, textured dials, mechanical chronographs, Alpinist line, you know, within that niche community that's now blowing up. So there's just so much vintage reissue versus reimagining. There's just a lot here. There's so much value. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Which collection would you have? Would you switch the King Seiko out for either one of these if you're just a big strap monster kind of guy or gal? You know, or are you happy? I love bracelets. That's why you're seeing all these on bracelets. And yeah, let me know what are your thoughts. Maybe you would take, you know, switch some of these around and you would grab one and take one with you. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think this is a fun topic to cover. So thanks for joining me on this one. So if you like the video, please do hit like. Oh, and don't forget to support the sponsors of this particular segment, Wrist Candy Watch Club, you know, I don't do paid reviews, so I'm not reviewing their straps for money. I'm just giving you a shout out, giving them a shout out, and giving you a heads up about a very cool brand that does support the channel. So check them out. Also, don't forget. But yeah, if you liked the video, hit like. If you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.